Hello, I'm Fred Evans. Welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. Recently, Interfaith Works invited a speaker from California to tell the audience about a way his group had developed to bring people out of poverty. Shane Rock, the CEO of Interfaith Works, will explain. Transportation is a topic that is of great interest to all Montgomery County residents, and members of the local League of Women Voters are no exception. Elaine Apter from the League has this story. The Rural Maryland Council has many issues on its agenda. Charlotte Davis, the executive director, will tell us what to expect in the next few months. There's a new twist on old con games these days, and our commentator, Henry Hailstock, will tell us all about them. Welcome, Shane. How are you?
I'm doing well, Fred. Thanks.
Tell us about your speaker from California, and if you could, just briefly tell what Interfaith Works is, because I don't know if all of our audience knows.
Sure. Interfaith Works has been serving Montgomery County for more than 45 years.
Wow.
We help more than 16,000 people each year who are experiencing poverty or homelessness in the county lift themselves up. We were honored recently to bring Mauricio Miller, founder of the Family Independence Initiative, to speak to our company's Caring Breakfast here in Montgomery County. And he talked about this amazing program that they created in Oakland to help families who are experiencing poverty. And the idea of this is to trust and invest in families. The way the program works is they help families create a cohort of 5 to 8 families who are kind of in their network, live nearby, or they have associations with, and they agree to help each other. And in helping each other, they develop a plan to help each other with child care, with transportation and things like that. And they develop other plans where that might require a little bit of money to get them off the ground. And then the organization makes funds available to them as scholarships, loans, grants, so that those families can invest in their futures. That's really cool. It sounds awesome, and it's very empowering. What's really compelling to us, and the reason why we're bringing the model to Montgomery County, is it's one of the most effective anti-poverty interventions that's been developed.
So they have data to show that the program works?
They have incredible data. Within 6 months of these families getting together and starting to help each other in planning and accessing resources, they're finding that 30% of the families go from below the federal poverty line in income to above. They're finding 20% gains in income in these families over time, over a 1 to 2 year period, and a 62% reduction in the amount of federal support, welfare support that these families are requiring.
That's amazing, Shane. What's the requirement for a family or persons that want to get the grants or loans or whatever you call it?
Well, here in Montgomery County, we'll be focusing on families who or currently have household income below 200% of poverty, or for a family of 4 below about $47,000 income. So we're looking at families who are really struggling in this county, and the whole idea is to enable them to have the resources they need: social capital, that is connections with other people, and access to money that they need to help themselves. And we're not going to tell them how to do it. They will come up with the plans themselves.
Are you going to work at bringing some of these people together so they can work as groups? Or?
We will. We'll have the only staff person who works on this is an organizer who essentially helps the families self-organize, create groups.
Do they bring in other family members, like other generations? Because one of the issues is usually a generational, that's why they're in poverty, so they incorporate like the older generation in these too? That's a great question, and yes, indeed. I mean, part of the power of this is that it really helps families to reconnect with their extended families. That creates more of a support network. It creates more community.
On the other side, I would assume you also have people that, because of the mobility, are all by themselves with families out of town. So this would help them connect with other families in the same situation.
Exactly.
What's the time frame for somebody to be in a program like this, or is there a time frame?
Up to 2 years. What's really one of the great aspects of this is we get great data. So the families over that 2 year period of time, they'll provide indicators of how they're doing, their savings accounts balances, their checking account balances, how they're doing in terms of their jobs and education for their kids and healthcare indicators. We will pay them for that data. So that data is very valuable because we can start to understand better how these families are helping each other and what the outcomes are. So every month that a family participates in this, we will send them a check.
And they can use that check for anything they need, like gas or childcare or school?
The only stipulation is they have to tell us how they used it. And most of the families use it to help themselves and their kids get ahead.
As they go along, is there any guidelines as to, okay, you didn't do this, or you need to step on this, or whatever?
No, that's the beauty of this. It trusts families to know how to help themselves, and that's empowering. That moves people forward. If we tell them how to do it, or if we intervene in any way, we take away that power.
So they're giving you something like a plan of what they're going to be doing over the course of these 2 years.
That's right.
Okay. What if they're not following their own program? I guess that's my question. If they're not following their own program itself,
they're going to know it because we're going to give them tools. They're going to establish goals for their family, and every month they can access a dashboard essentially that tells them how they're doing against their own plans and against their goals, their benchmarks.
Okay.
How are you reaching out to these families to get them into the program?
So we'll be looking at certain families in geographic areas that are in poverty pockets in the county. We'd be looking in particular to immigrant groups and underserved groups, looking for families who are very committed to helping not only themselves but other families, who can start to form these little cohorts and to work together. This program, once it gets going, spreads by word of mouth.
Wow.
It's powerful.
In the very short time that remains in your segment, are you feeling positive about the possibilities of this in Montgomery County?
Extremely positive. It's currently in 6 cities. It's never been done in a suburban place.
Excellent.
This is a model for the country.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. We'll pay attention to the future and see how this goes. Excellent.
Thank you.
Elaine, tell us about transportation and why you're concerned in Montgomery County.
Well, I think it's on everybody's minds, and we usually just think of Metro, but first, the question you asked is a good one. Why transportation? Well, pollution, congestion, safety, and employment. Those all work with transportation.
Right.
And if you have a good transportation system, all those are benefited by that. And it includes things, we're going to pop up with Metro and the WMATA bus system right away. That's the first thing you think of.
Right.
Metro, the problem basically with safety is dedicated funding. And Montgomery County residents in polls feel that they are willing to support a cent sales tax increase to give Metro a dedicated funding. So
but that's
hopefully
not true
the other
of
areas.
Did you say is that regional?
Hopefully the other areas, and of course I think most people know Virginia is the problem. At Metro also we're talking about the Purple Line, which is just sitting there. There is a judge that we're waiting for his decision. And about $5 billion in federal money is dependent on his decision. If we get a go, it's a go for the Purple Line. Will be a light rail. It will connect the red lines. It will go out into the East County and University of Maryland. And so it is something that has been in the works. It's been studied, and hopefully we will go forward with it.
We seem to hesitate in Montgomery County. How long did it take for the ICC?
The ICC, and I have to say I'm a block away, so I use it all the time.
Right.
What's the status of the corridor cities transit?
Well, and that's the one that I'm particularly interested in too, because the 270, and that's really at a stalemate at this point. That one, even in our reports, got almost no consideration. The one that does get consideration, and they're hoping by 2020 to have it, is the bus rapid transit system that's going up the I-29 corridor. And that's the one we're really looking forward to.
So in Montgomery County, that's Colesville Road, essentially?
Right. County Executive Leggett, that's really one of his main areas, because of the White Oak and hopefully increasing that medical center research area with FDA, and that's what we're talking about, employment, if people can get to the area, employers really, that's a big help for them.
It is a big help. But you know, I just have a, I have a concern. First of all, we several years ago, we complained about the environmental impact, all these projects we're going to have. Then when we start working on doing this, we have a judge to say, do it again. Was it not done correctly in the first place?
No, it was, and it's very frustrating, but somebody came up with a lawsuit, and it's
now,
sitting in a judge's hand.
What court is this judge, if I should know this, but I don't?
That one, I'm really not too sure.
Yeah, what level of the jury?
I thought it was a federal.
Federal,
Oh,
yeah, I
federal
think it's
system.
federal.
It had to be the federal, the way they put a stop to it, period.
I got you.
And his rationale was basically the environmental impact.
Yeah.
And environmental impact had already been done
That's
thoroughly.
been studied and done, but therapy, and there's that, in all of these, that NIMBY, not my backyard,
Right.
for all of these, and that's what's
Well,
coming
the
up
same thing
here.
held true for the ICC.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yep.
what they did, they had several neighborhood meetings and everything, and they were very, accommodating, because even when the NAACP had a problem with them going through or near a gravesite,
Right.
they changed it.
They moved it
Yeah.
and around, and
So,
it's not always the best route, but
Right.
it is a fast route.
Yes.
But transportation also includes things like parking. You're going to find more paid parking. Somebody's paying for this parking. There's no such thing as free parking.
No.
They're taxed.
Taxes.
But some of the things Montgomery County is doing, some of the parking areas have green roofs, are
Yeah.
getting green roofs. Also, what I love is the lighting in the parking lot.
Yes,
You can go
yes.
up a lane, look down, and if there's a green light, you know
Yes.
there's an empty space. Otherwise, you don't have to go up and down the
That's the
parking
best thing
lot.
ever happened.
Pedestrian safety, bicycle safety is something they're
Right.
really working on. Crosswalks, bike lanes. So transportation is a whole picture.
What about the governor's plan to put lights on the 270, well, on the ramps?
Yes, now I'm from Los Angeles, and we had that.
Okay.
Yeah, and what it is basically is it staggers the
Controlled
traffic
entry.
coming in, so
Virginia has
that
some of
like
that.
when you get a green light and that's an on ramp, and you get 20 cars coming in,
Yeah.
that stops traffic.
Yeah.
Well-
But if it's staggered.
Staggered, yeah.
I'm sure we'll be having this discussion on future shows. Transportation is
Okay.
a very big issue, obviously, in Montgomery County. We're going to take a break right now, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back. Charlotte, welcome.
Thank you.
Rural Maryland? You're
Yep.
the CEO, is that?
Executive director. Yep.
Executive director.
Yep.
Tell us about the issues that, well, tell us about your organization,
Sure.
because I'm not sure many folks
Yeah.
know about it.
We're an independent state agency. I'm located in the Maryland Department of Agriculture,
Oh.
and we bring together federal, state, local, elected, appointed, and private stakeholders to talk about the challenges in rural Maryland. So mainly we see highest unemployment rates in the state, high poverty rates in the state, as well as a lack of access to transportation and health care.
Wow.
So we do a number of things to meet that mission. We do advocate before the General Assembly, so I am there. We do receive the majority of our funds through the state government, so I'm a line item, and I get to go before the budget committees.
Your organization is a line item.
Yes, we are a line item in the state's operating budget,
Right.
and then we also administer 2 grant programs to help build capacity in rural communities and then improve the quality of life. So this year we had a great year, thanks to the governor and the legislature and the budget committees. We're getting an additional $1.5 million, so we'll have about it's about $3.5 million to distribute. So we are looking for things like business incubators, things to boost employment. We focus on entrepreneurship, so building small businesses. But then we have infrastructure needs, so we need to put in broadband, we need to put in wastewater and treatment centers, and then healthcare. That's a huge issue for us.
What areas of Maryland are your major focus?
We consider, we have a very generous definition of rural for Maryland. We consider the 5 counties for Western Maryland, from Garrett to Carroll, all of the Eastern Shore, including Cecil and Harford counties, and then the 3 Southern Maryland counties, Charles, Calvert, and St. Mary's. We also consider West Montgomery with the Ag Reserve as rural, as well as Northern Baltimore and Southern Prince George's and Anne Arundel, places where we see an agriculture economy. So we do have that Ag Reserve. Land use is a big issue for us. We're always looking at program open space and the Maryland Ag Land Preservation Foundation. We did receive funds this year, $2.5 million for the Next Generation Farmland Acquisition Program. This is to get young farmers onto land. That's the biggest challenge we see with our young farmers. They can't afford land, particularly here in Montgomery County.
I got two questions.
Yeah.
The latter that you were just talking about, young people
or beginners.
It's hard. Well, see, that's 3 things. How do you get people that have never been on a farm interested in going on a farm to do farming?
Well, we get a lot of folks from the suburban and urban areas that are very interested in doing this. It's about growing local produce, providing for the local community. So we're seeing a huge increase in Montgomery County wants to do more of this. It's also about sourcing local. We can't really source local. We have to have a broad definition. You consider your produce 50 miles, 100 miles, because it's more than likely it's more than 100 miles versus the 50 miles.
Yeah, I know, because Giant Food goes local.
And it's not the drudgery work anymore. I mean, this is all, now it's all,
tech.
It's all high tech. So auto steer on your tractors, automated milking for dairy. What we're trying to do, we want farmers to diversify. Don't just keep growing your corn and soybeans. Put aside 20 acres and do some melons. It helps.
If they knew better, they know they have to rotate.
Well,
I came
are you
in the
working
city.
with the school districts at all?
They try to get, yes, we have a farm, the department has a farm to school program. Some counties are better at it than others because the school systems require that their food delivery actually make money. They have to pay for themselves.
Yes, they do.
So, that's a
good
challenge,
point.
particularly for protein, to try and source a protein locally. It's really difficult unless you're eating chicken. So we always.
The second one I had is, okay, you have those young people that grew up on the farm. I can't wait to get out of here to go to school, they major in other stuff, and they never come back. How are you going to get them back?
We see that challenge, so we try to engage them young. So through the FFA programs or through those in-school programs.
That's the Future Farmers
Future Farmers of America.
Any other summary that you want to
Rural broadband is the next thing. It's a huge issue for us in Maryland and rural, and so I will be chairing a task force to look at this issue over the interim with the bill passed by the legislature. And then, big issue for Montgomery County is education. There is the Commission for Innovation and Excellence in Education, Bridge to Kerwin. Some of our rural counties, including Baltimore City and Prince George's County, are experiencing declining enrollments. So how do you fix the formula to account for those declines?
Well, we will keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Con games, Mr. Hailstock.
Yes.
Tell us about that in Montgomery County.
Well, Montgomery County and all over, but since I live in Montgomery County, we'll talk about Montgomery County.
Give us some examples.
Okay, have you ever had to knock on the door saying, I'm trying to earn money for school, trying to earn money for uniforms for the youth program, athletic program, equipment, etc. It was just on the news that in D.C., my old alma mater, somebody was going around saying they were collecting money or getting donations for Roosevelt High School.
Roosevelt High, yeah.
For, that's Theodore Roosevelt.
I understand.
For equipment, uniforms. Roosevelt High School had nothing, no knowledge of it whatsoever. They had the correct address and everything, but a different phone number. So these are the scams that they have, knocking on the door. I was at a wrestling game, and you had kids going around saying, we're trying to, collect money so we can have uniforms. I was kind of leery of that. Sure enough, it was a scam. They'd knock on your door and say, we're from such and such church, such and such programs. We're looking to have you buy subscriptions for the kids and everything. you will never see those magazines. Simple things for phone calls. Now, this agency did a study. 40% of the robocalls that you receive are scams. 40%. Just think about that. I mean, it's ridiculous. You'll get phone calls and you'll get things in the mail saying that I noticed that your warranty on your car is expiring. Buy extended warranty. I happened to get one of those, and I called my dealership, and they said it's not backed by the company, the car that I owned, and they said we certainly don't do that.
Yeah, another thing that was on the radio not too long ago is they can imitate voices. So they've got your voice or somebody's voice, and you will get a phone call, and it will sound like somebody
that's a good point. I mean, you'll get phone calls saying that, oh, mom, grandma, dad, mom, hey, I'm here in Rome, and my money was taken away from me. I need some money to get home. Can you send, money wired to me at such and such, or buy this this card and send it to me, or give me the code on it, and I can have the money to get back home. It's terrible. They've even got phone calls from people from saying that they have their child held in Mexico or some foreign country, and unless you pay up, you won't see them anymore. It's terrible. It's terrible.
What about IRS?
Oh, well, we heard about all that. I mean, last year that was a humongous thing. And the IRS said in the past 3 years, $47 million was collected illegally by all these phone calls. It's ridiculous. So now they have a new switch on it now. This year, beware. They're trying to get some of the people that they believe have college loans, and they say if you don't pay this not existing federal student tax, you will be put in jail or you have financial ruin. It's all a scam. It really is.
So when someone comes to your door, or you're wondering about one of these calls, whether it's legitimate or not, what can somebody do?
Not answer. We have an intercom system, so somebody ring my bell or knock on the door. I say, who is it? Because I have a sign on my door, no solicitation.
Right.
And some people say, oh, I didn't see it. Yeah, right. But then I said, what do you want? They said, well, we're here to, offer, free roofing or roofing or something else. We noticed we're just in the area. Yeah, right, they're just in there. They say, your neighbors are doing this. I know my neighbors. They ain't not doing any roofing jobs. They're not getting any new windows or anything else. But you said, we look like you need it. I said, look, 4 years ago I had all my windows replaced, all my doors replaced. I don't need it. Bye. Or I do like my father used to do. I'll listen to him for a while, and then I'll start asking questions and, making jokes, and they start walking away. But I never answer. I told my wife, I tell the service provider, don't answer the door.
Does it pay to contact anybody when you know it's a scam?
It does pay because, you have your local government, you have, including the sheriff's office, you have, the federal government because it's a federal crime. If you report it, they can do something about it. And that's what they say. Report it. Let us know. Give us the phone numbers and everything else. And it's very important to do that, more so now with the IRS scams, because remember last year, part of their system was hacked. So they got a lot of personal information, names, social security numbers. And some of these people who hacked into the IRS are really calling up the banks, trying to make fraudulent withdrawals. So please, report it.
That is all this information was very important, and I want to thank all of you for your presentations today and the conversation. And thank you all for joining me this week. And thank you for joining all of us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Fred Evans. Please join us next week at the same time. Thank you.